Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm attorney Jeff Adelman, and today we have a repeat guest on the program, Questions for Lawyers, my friend Adam Myron, who's running for Circuit Court Judge in Palm Beach County, Group 30. Adam, it's a little different than the last time we actually met in person. Now you're at home and I'm at home, but we're still going to have a nice conversation today.
Yeah, absolutely. Very different, and in terms of a nice conversation, hopefully the same.
Absolutely. I guarantee it. In any event, can you tell the people who are watching or listening just what you've been doing since December of last year when we last met?
Yeah, so the world's changed a little bit since last December. I've been running for Circuit Court Judge the entire time. I actually started in October of last year, and here we are. It's August 18th is election day, so we're almost through with the process of the primaries. This has been a really interesting process. So traditionally, as a candidate, and what I did in the beginning before we started experiencing the pandemic of the coronavirus and COVID-19, was going to as many events as possible and talking to as many people as possible face to face. You know, your kind of traditional shake some hands, kiss some babies type of campaigning to really make connections with human beings. And now I've been making connections virtually. We've been doing a lot of Zoom meet and greets. I'm really well versed with Zoom and other similar technologies, and it's been a seamless transition in that respect. It's unfortunate that I can't really meet face to face with a lot of people because I'm truly a people person. I like making connections with people, but doing the Zoom meet and greets has been really great. I've been doing a whole lot of community service during this pandemic because I think it's so important to get out there and help the community. I've participated in about a dozen different events, distributing food and supplies to people in need during the pandemic, because it's so important to me to help our community, especially the community I'm originally from, which is Palm Beach County. So I've been doing a lot of that as well. I've also been trying to maintain my law practice over at the Day Pitney firm, and that's been challenging but rewarding at the same time. And then of course I'm raising my two young boys with my wife Stephanie. So that's what I've been up to over the last, I don't know, 10 months, 8 months. How about you, Jeff? What have you been up to?
Well, I mean, I have been very involved with my practice, with my personal injury practice, but also involved with the courts, trying to get things up and running with Zoom for the hearings, non-jury trials. And actually, we're talking in Broward about some potential Zoom jury trials right now. You know, I am involved with the BOTA, so we've been doing that. So it's been a pretty interesting experience, and you know, a lot of things that I wouldn't normally be doing, but we are still resolving cases, and it's you know, it's been a challenge, but I've tried to keep my head down and just keep going forward. Again, I have a young family as well. We gotta, you know, make sure that, you know, things are done right. And by the way, I want to congratulate you. It was your 5-year anniversary, I understand, a day or two ago.
That's right. It was just yesterday on Saturday. You know, it's funny because I think the last time we talked, I told you about the story of when I got engaged at the end of a triathlon, when I got down on one knee and proposed to my wife Stephanie, and now here we are, over 5 years since that date, celebrating our anniversary, having two young boys. It's really an amazing thing when you consider life's journey and how the twists and turns life can take over just a short amount of time.
No doubt, this year more than ever. But we're less than 30 days away, and people have their mail-in ballots now, and you know, people are going to be starting to vote, and it's finally here. And I want to congratulate you. The Sun Sentinel endorsed you over incumbent Jamie Goodman. That's quite an accomplishment. I'm reading directly from the endorsement page from the Sun Sentinel. It says, Judge Jamie Goodman has failed to improve. Select Adam Myron. That's quite a feather in your cap. Can you tell me a little bit about what went into that interview with the Sun Sentinel and why they were able to make that determination, in your opinion?
Yeah, well, I think the Sun Sentinel got it 100% correctly. You know, they did a thorough vetting process. They asked questions of us for written submission. Those are all posted online. Everything was answered thoroughly. Everything was vetted by the Sun Sentinel. They did a roughly hour-long joint session between the three amongst the three candidates and their editorial board. They asked a lot of questions. They gave a lot of opportunity for back and forth amongst the candidates. And so they really investigated, as they should, when making a weighty endorsement of this nature, especially against an incumbent judge. But I think that they saw that in this race, I was the most qualified candidate. I care the most for the community I'm from. I have the legal skills necessary, and I have the right demeanor necessary for this job. They saw that very clearly, I think, and I'm very proud of that endorsement. It means a lot to me.
And you should be. And, what I found it interesting is, there was a poll put on by the Palm Beach County Bar Association where the trial lawyers are actually asked to rate the judges in Palm Beach County. And back in 2017, 81.7% of those who voted said that the incumbent needed improvement in the demeanor and treatment of lawyers. And he said that he would try to improve after that. In 2019, it was up to 84.5% needs improvement for demeanor and treatment of lawyers. How significant is that particular statistic to you, Adam?
Yeah, I think it's very significant. I want to be really clear on a couple things. I don't know that the incumbent said in 2017 that they were going to try to improve. I know for a fact now he's saying he's going to try to improve now that he's drawn challengers in an election year. The other thing I want to be really clear on is that and he'll be the first one to tell you this, is all lawyers in Palm Beach County were invited to participate in that poll. But the problem is that, well, it's actually not a problem, but in terms of how Judge Goodman is portraying this, he's making it seem like all of those lawyers were able to actually evaluate him. And that's certainly not the case. Only a certain amount of the lawyers could certify that they had enough experience before him in order to evaluate him. And of those who did certify that they had that experience, there were more people that responded than with regard to any other judge. And as you noted, the numbers got worse, going from, I think you said, roughly 82% to roughly 85% of people giving him the lowest marks. And that's really significant because people look to the lawyers to understand what a judge is like. Most people aren't going to fully understand that in an election year because most people don't go into court. But anyone could go into court. And so it's really critical that we have judges on the bench that don't just have the legal skills necessary, but also have the right temperament for the job. In this race, as you pointed out, the Sun Sentinel felt that I was the one that's most qualified for the job. I couldn't agree with them more. And I think it's really critical that in these bar polls, you're seeing numbers that are historic lows that don't get improvement. And I think in that sort of scenario, we have to have a determination from Palm Beach County whether they want that judge still on the bench. So that's a very significant thing because when lawyers, it's not just about lawyers. There's a lot of lawyer jokes out there, and I think unfairly so. Lawyers are critical and important for ensuring justice and for helping those who otherwise wouldn't have a voice. But it's not just about what a lawyer experiences in court. Lawyers have to be thick-skinned and they can take it. But when a judge doesn't have the right demeanor for the job, that's not just something that's going through to the lawyers. That's going through to the parties in a case. To your average citizen who's coming in because they have a domestic dispute or a civil dispute over money or a criminal trial, or there's a breakup of a family, a home. There could be a child custody hearing. All these things are really dramatic and important ways that judges can affect people's lives. And if you don't have somebody on the bench with the right demeanor, that does not do well for our justice system. And I would say it does bad things for our justice system. We need to have public confidence in the justice system. And I think here, I don't know that those numbers are really reflecting that that's what Palm Beach County is getting. I think Palm Beach County deserves better. I think Palm Beach County deserves me on that bench.
Well, I think another thing, and knowing you, I think this really hit me. And again, I would encourage anybody, just Google Sun Sentinel, Adam Myron, and you'll see the endorsement. But Judge Goodman said that he was claimed not to be courteous. And he claims that the courtesy sometimes must be lower priority than moving cases quickly. Can you explain to me what that means, that you can't be courteous because you want to move your cases? Does that sound right to you?
It doesn't. I think it sounds like nonsense, quite frankly, and it sounds like a bad excuse for behavior that doesn't help anyone. You know, how long does it take to say please and thank you and to treat people fairly? In fact, I think if you're not being courteous to people, I think if you're acting in a way that's earning you these kinds of numbers of 85% giving lowest marks of lawyers who appear before you and have the right experience to evaluate you, coming before you and giving those sorts of marks, that's showing that you're probably taking more time to earn those sorts of distinctions of bad demeanor, bad control of courtroom, the kinds of things we're seeing on these bar polls. And so, it never takes too long to be courteous. And when you're courteous, things actually do move more quickly because everyone's more open. You're getting to the heart of a particular legal dispute more quickly. Courteousness, it goes a long way. It's like that old saying, you can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. So I think it's utter nonsense to say that you have to move a case quickly so you can't be courteous to people.
When we're talking about our clients going into court, sometimes it's the worst day of their life. Can you talk a little bit about, we're talking about courtesy, does that mean that you can't be firm and can't be strong with your rulings and all that if you're not courteous? Is there any correlation between that?
They are not mutually exclusive. You can absolutely be, and this is exactly how I will be on the bench, strong, competent, fair, and impartial, and of course, courteous, and having of compassion. I mean, being compassionate is one of the keynote things that you have to have as a judge, because you're trying to serve your entire community as a fair and neutral arbiter. It doesn't mean you can't be compassionate and you can't be decent towards people. So, this is going to sound a little bit corny, but it's a little bit like the Wizard of Oz. I think that a judge has to have three main attributes. You have to have a heart. Okay, we've been talking about that for the last few minutes. You have to have a brain, and I have the legal skills, no doubt, to do this job. And you have to have courage, because sometimes it's going to be really difficult to make the decisions that a judge has to make, but they do it in greater service of the community. And if you have those three attributes, a heart, a brain, and courage, you're going to be a great judge and you're going to serve your community well.
Can you tell me and tell the people watching, listening, what drives you to want to become a circuit court judge for your home county of Palm Beach?
Yeah. So again, this is where I'm from. I was raised in this community. I was raised in Palm Beach County in particular. I went through our public school system here. My mother was a teacher for roughly 4 decades at a Title I school. I attended that school for a few years as well. I eventually graduated from Suncoast High School, and this is where I'm raising my own family now, because I decided to come back shortly after law school to the home I've always really known and I've always really loved. And so serving my community is to me, it's a calling. And I know that one of the ways that a lawyer can have a really positive impact on their community is by being a judge. I love being an advocate, Jeff, but I really also love being an impartial. I'm a mediator as well. I believe strongly in conflict resolution and serving people as a neutral. And this is another way that I'll be able to accomplish those exact same goals. So, running for judge, it really is a calling to me, and wanting to do right by Palm Beach County, wanting to help Palm Beach County, and wanting to bring about positive and needed change to this seat.
Adam, before we conclude this interview, we didn't really get a chance to talk about your experience in the courtroom. Can you talk a little about that?
Sure. I've been practicing law for about 18 years. And in that time, I've been in court over and over and over again on complex civil and commercial matters primarily. I've done a lot of trust and estate litigation as well. I've done professional liability law, like malpractice cases. As I mentioned before, I'm a mediator as well, but the mediators aren't going into court. We're trying to keep people out of court by helping resolve their conflicts. I've been practicing in the areas of real estate and employment law, just a very diverse practice as a civil litigator, but primarily in the areas of commercial and complex business litigation. And in that time, I've been blessed to get into court for trial. I've been really, I've gone in on a lot of dispositive motions, like motions for summary judgment and motions to dismiss hearings, issues where cases are on the line. I've done arbitration. I've argued to the United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit at oral argument. That was one of the highlights of my career, in fact. I've gone with one of my mentors, Jerry Richmond, to San Antonio for, there was oral argument on a major nationwide collective action that we brought on behalf of Uber drivers. That was before the Judicial Panel on Multi-District Litigation. So I've done a lot of appellate work. I've done a lot of federal work, a lot of state work, and certainly I have the experience that it takes to analyze complex issues and really start from and hit the ground running as from day one as a judge.
On top of all that, I understand that you're not technology averse.
I am not technology adverse. I certainly understand technology very well. I actually consider myself very lucky to be running at this point in my life because I'm 43 years old. I've been doing this long enough that I understand emerging technologies, and I'm really still kind of abreast of all of these emerging technologies such that I can use them very competently. I understand how they work. I understand the challenges associated with them. A lot of people might not consider some of the challenges that might exist just when it comes to having a jury trial or even a deposition by Zoom. Some of the things that come into play, I mean, people who don't really understand the technology don't see how people might be able to take advantage of it in some respects. Just as an example, you think you're talking to one person and maybe there's somebody else who's there trying to influence the testimony of the witness. You know, that could be a real problem. So having somebody who understands technology well, can use technology and implement emerging technologies in the courtroom, I think is really important at this time.
More than ever, for sure. Well, you know, the election is coming up August 18th, and I don't know how many more opportunities you're going to have to address voters. I'd like to give you an opportunity if there's anything that I have not brought up that you would like to talk about or you would like to speak directly to the voters. I'd like to give you that opportunity.
Yeah, to me, this really just comes down to a question of, do you want 6 more years of the same? Or do you think it's time for positive, needed, and frankly deserved change to Palm Beach County's Circuit Court Group 30? And I think if you do your research of the candidates, you will see that I am the right person for this job. I recognize, as we were talking about before, that most people don't meet a judge until one of the worst days of their life. You have to have the right person on the bench who can receive testimony, receive argument, and do it with humility and compassion and fairness. And if I'm elected, I'm going to be aware every single day of the enormous trust that you out there would have placed in me to be good and decent and to apply the law with the highest degree of professionalism. It will not matter to me who you are, where you come from, what you have, or especially now, you know, when you think about the times we're living in, what you don't have. None of that will matter. What will matter is the law and my guiding principle, which is to apply the law with decency and respect for everyone. And so, you know, my name is going to be between 2 others on this ballot. And so I ask people, if you're inclined to vote for me after doing your research, just remember Myron in the middle. It's the easiest thing to do. And if you remember Myron in the middle, I think you're going to be part of a really exciting movement to bring needed change to Palm Beach County.
Adam, this has been a pleasure, as I knew it would be, and I certainly wish you the best of luck, and I certainly hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate your time. This has been great, and I hope you have a great day too. I really appreciate it.
Sounds great. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching, listening. And in addition to that, if you would like to watch this or listen to it again, it's available on your favorite podcast platform. It'll be on YouTube, Facebook, anywhere you can imagine. I would encourage you to look up the Sun Sentinel endorsement again. Just Google Sun Sentinel, Adam Myron, and please make sure you get out and vote. Very important in every election, and local elections affect you a lot of times more than a national election would. So a circuit court judge is a extremely important position, and I hope you'll take it seriously. I hope you found that this interview was helpful. Have a great day, everybody.